Fournier here again, and it is almost exactly 3 weeks after I started working on my latest piece, this Werewolf by Night homage, the Mike Ploog illustration of Werewolf by Night number 13, the comic book 1972, and I remember seeing this comic book for the first time when I was 12. Yes, I am old. I don't have it anymore. But this Werewolf by Night cover really hit in my 12-year-old soul. I've always loved monsters. I've always loved the classic monsters. Frankenstein monster, the Wolfman, all of the Universal greats. And that cover solidified my desire to be an illustrator, maybe even comic book illustrator, there I think at the time. And here we are, what, 50 years later, 52 years later, 42. Anyway, I'm a lot older now, and I did finally eventually, as I told you in my last video, I did finally I convinced myself that I could pull this off as a 3D sculpture in my Zbrush. I'd like to think that I succeeded. In the Zbrush, the digital sculpt came out, I think, pretty close to what I imagined it would. I was using that cover as reference, and I'm holding part of the model now, and I just want to show you a little bit of what was involved with the 3D print of this particular model. We saw Kong in the last video, Kong astride the T-Rex. I did use a slightly different approach on the keys, the keying this part. I'm getting better at keying my models, but I'm still not quite there yet. But first I'll show you the individual, well, they're not really in pieces like they were, because this werewolf was keyed pretty good, but I ended up having to just glue it together. The keys weren't holding like I hoped they would. So there's the werewolf. He came out really well, I think. I started to say I was using a really nice filament, a really nice matte gray filament from, well, this is my Flash Forge filament, which I first started using and liking, but the one I really like is Anycubic filament. And as you can see, I've just about used all of that up, so I'm back on to Flash Forge now. Because of that, this monster here was in Flash Forge, and it's a little translucent looking. It came out fine. It came out pretty well, but you can see there's a bit of a sheen on it I don't particularly like. Also, to my astonishment, I discovered that it's kind of translucent, almost transparent. The specularity I don't like, but it's good enough, I suppose. I may reprint it. That's the monster, and then here's the aforementioned legs. He keys right into that pretty well. See? Key, hole, key, and there's the... So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this thing together. Oh, here comes the kitty. Here comes the kitty. Oh, she wants to see what's going on. Come on, you're right in the... I want to put this together for everybody. Did you come over here? Look at the kitty. This is Alvy, everybody. So what I had to do was, because this guy's got such a wide stance, by the way, while I'm rambling on here, I'll probably put up some pictures of the process of the ZBrush process, some ZBrush shots. A turntable that you probably already saw, and if not, you're seeing now. To give you an idea of what this looked like in ZBrush, it's always cleaner looking in ZBrush and more detailed because printers kind of blur some of the detail, plus the scale of this thing isn't huge, as you can see. But what I had to do was I had to, this was 11 pieces. It took 11 pieces because the stride of this guy here, in accord with the cover, he's got quite a wide stance, and if I built a solid base for him to be standing on, that piece alone would have been almost too big for the build plate, and then that meant I would have had to correspondingly scale down each of the other constituent parts. So what you want to do is you want to look at your model, try to have the pieces relative to one another in scale, and yet still have them big enough to make an overall large model, or the largest model possible. And so what I'm saying is the largest single printed piece, which in this case turned out to be the legs, which just about, there might have been 1.5 inches of room on each side of the build plate. Probably 2.5 inches at the most I had to spare to build this thing, because it's an roughly 8 inches. The builds can't exceed 8 inches, either X, Y, or Z. That is width, depth, or height. It's 8 by 8 by 8, 8 by 8 by 8. And anyway, so this was the largest piece, so I scaled everything else according to that. That meant that the base would be way too big. So what I ended up having to do, here's the base, by 9, by Eric Fournier. The base had to be partitioned. Rather than one single base, I just did two separate base pieces, one for each foot, respectively. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble this now. You want to go outside? Out? Okay, go on out. And we're back. So what you're going to see here is, it was quite a keying challenge, how to get this thing basically supporting its own weight. Because if you look at the cover, which I did extensively, you realize that this, not only does this monster have to be standing on terra firma, a really reasonably solid base, but he's also holding the werewolf up in the air. So the werewolf, what I ended up doing was using the werewolf's, I'll just show you. I'll explain this as we go. Here's part of the base. Here's the other part of the base. I keyed his foot into, one foot is keyed into this part. The other foot is keyed into this part. And then his legs fit in here like this. I think it's something like this. And then the torso. Oh, if you see his hand here, I had to key the hand into the neck of the werewolf. The hand goes right, and I wish I could see. The hand is supporting the werewolf. Pretty much like that right there. So once I keyed the hand on the werewolf's neck, I can go ahead and put the monster on his torso like this. I have this completely backwards, by the way. I can't see a damn thing. It's really quite pathetic. I'm thinking, why is this not keying? Because I can't even. Okay, there. Okay, and then there's one other bit of business. This here, Tesla coil, or what do you call it? Jacob's ladder. Okay, so I had these two separate pieces, right? And I wanted to bridge them, right? Because it looks like he's standing. It looks like he's standing on two boxes that were conveniently placed beneath each footfall. So I kind of thought, you know, it's a Frankenstein monster type thing, creature. If you look at the cover, they're in what's left of a laboratory. I'm sorry, laboratory. And then we have this coil here. So I just decided to go ahead and make this the key into the two pieces of the base. See? Like so. Boom. And there's the finished Werewolf by Night model. So it was fun. It came out pretty much exactly the way I wanted it to. And it'll be another 2 or 3 weeks while I work on the next piece, which I've already started. Like yesterday, I started the next piece in Zbrush. It's going to be a Stegosaurus, which will be part of an overall scene, which will also feature a Ceratosaurus. So I'm back to dinosaurs, and why not? That's what got me started in this stuff when I was a kid, and that's what's up next. So once again, thanks for watching.